Today we're looking at the Sons of Liberty. Hello, welcome to the Daily Bellringer. Please don't forget to subscribe and take a look at the questions down in the description. The Sons of Liberty were a secret society or group that formed shortly after the Stamp Act was put in place in 1765. The Sons of Liberty's primary purpose was to defend the rights of the American colonists and fight against British taxation. It was founded by Samuel Adams, who was a second cousin to founding father and future President John Adams. Samuel Adams was a politician from Massachusetts who had been very much opposed to British efforts to tax the colonies. Prior to the Sons of Liberty, Adams had been part of what was called the Loyal Nine, which was a group of 9 Boston citizens who met secretly to organize protests against the British. The small group would later transform into the Sons of Liberty. However, with both the Loyal Nine and the Sons of Liberty, it's rather difficult to determine what they were and weren't responsible for, since their meetings were basically in secret and they really, would have been arrested if the British learned of their plans. There's very little documentation or really a paper trail to follow of their activities. The Sons of Liberty took their name from a speech given by Isaac Barry in Parliament in February of 1765. In his speech, he called American colonists who fought against British laws Sons of Liberty. The group was founded in August of 1765 in Boston, but within 6 months, there were Sons of Liberty groups in New York, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Maryland, and Virginia. As I stated before, the Sons of Liberty wanted to do whatever they could to make sure British taxes that they believed to be unjust could not be collected. Many times their activities turned violent. One of the Sons of Liberty's primary tools was intimidation. They would intimidate tax collectors with physical threats and many times actually attacking them. The tar and feathering of tax collectors became a common practice, and it was a punishment that was used on ships to punish those who disobeyed and was intended to basically humiliate the victim. The victim of a tar and feathering would many times be stripped nude and then would have pine tar poured on them. Pine tar was used to seal boats and did not necessarily have to be heated up, so very seldom did anyone experience severe burns from it. But once the tar was applied and then feathers would be dumped on them, they would be many times forced to parade around as an example to everyone of what happens to tax collectors. The Sons of Liberty in Boston would call for meetings to take place at the Liberty Tree, which was a famous elm tree that stood near Boston Common, which was a central area in downtown Boston. On August 14, 1765, a large group met under the Liberty Tree. This is considered to be the first public meeting in resistance to the British that would eventually lead to the American Revolution. From the tree that night, they hung an effigy, which is a model or small replica of a person. The effigy was of Andrew Oliver, who was the person chosen by the British to be in charge of making sure taxes were collected there in Boston. The Sons of Liberty marched through the streets carrying Oliver's effigy and called for him to resign. They even went as far as to burn down Oliver's office, and then even after Oliver did resign, they attacked Thomas Hutchinson's home, who was the lieutenant governor of Massachusetts and a friend of Oliver. During the siege of Boston in 1776, British soldiers would chop down the Liberty Tree and use it as firewood as a sign of disrespect to the Americans. Eventually, the Sons of Liberty would take part in important events such as the Boston Tea Party and take part in the warning system to rally Minutemen to fight the British at Lexington and Concord at the beginning of the Revolution. But I'll cover those in other bell ringers. Some of the leading members of the Sons of Liberty were people such as John Hancock, Joseph Warren, Paul Revere, Patrick Henry, and even Benedict Arnold were instrumental in helping shape public opinion and sharing the message of resistance against British taxation. As the Revolution drew closer, the Sons of Liberty transformed into what became known as the Committee of Safety, which was organized to be an almost shadow government that operated and controlled the colonies without the knowledge of the British. Actions taken by the Sons of Liberty would be monumental, leading towards the American Revolution and eventually full independence from Britain. So with that, hopefully you learned something, and thanks for watching.